quarterback position. So that got us thinking. A-list.
Right, it's time for Steven's A-list. You know what time it is. Quarterback, he ain't number one, though, in the AFC. We know who number one is.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Welcome to special free agency edition of Bengals Podcast, a Bengals podcast with the Bengals Bros. We are in day 2 of the new year and day 4 free agency, right?
Yeah, League New Year. League New Year started yesterday at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so how are we feeling?
So far, so good. It's been really exciting. I mean, the first, when tampering started earlier the week, 4 days ago, that's when you knew the Bengals were serious. I mean, they went out and got Kappa, they got Karras, that's official now. And, that's something they do now. They hadn't done that our whole lives, and it's really cool to see that. Feeling really good about the direction. I've always been a Duke Tobin fan. And you got Joe Burrow, you got Duke Tobin together. I mean, why not just trust everything that they're going to do? I think they're going to make all the right moves. Even though the AFC is kind of getting stacked right now. You see all these teams spending big. I think we've spent smartly so far. Kappa's not a huge hit, and he's going to be a massive upgrade. Karras he's going to get paid probably less than Hopkins, people are saying. And he's going to be an upgrade. So, we'll see what they do. They still need a left guard. Still need a right tackle. But there's some guys available that could fill those spots, either in the draft or free agency. And I hope that, they just keep this ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, should we just jump right into it? I mean, about the holes that they have and the holes that they're filling right now. We got breaking news about Hayden Hurst just signed with the Bengals, 1-year deal. We were kind of talking about this a little bit before the podcast. I like it. Doesn't seem like you like it as much, Nick.
No, I think it's a great signing. I like it a lot. It's just he's not a starting tight end to me. I think you could do much better. You could hopefully Sample takes that next step, I would think, and he's better than Hayden Hurst. I mean, from what we've seen, Hayden Hurst has never been a tight end 1 in this league. He's like a good blocker, and he's a decent guy down the seam, but he's not as athletic as Drew Sample, and drafted Drew Sample in the 2nd round. He's supposed to be that guy. I think this is his chance. They signed him to kind of compete with him. So I'm not in love with it, but it's definitely a necessary signing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it works well because Hayden Hurst definitely is not a tight end 1, but there really weren't any tight end 1s on the market. Unless you sign Gronk, he's definitely going to come back to Tampa if he keeps playing. And then what are your other options, like Austin Hooper, Gerald Everett? These are guys that you're going to have to overpay for. So you bring in Hayden Hurst on a 1-year prove-it deal, basically. I'm sure he's not going to be paid a lot of money. Saves you cap room. You can spend the cap other places. And he's a perfect pass-catching tight end to pair with the run-blocking tight end of Sample. So they kind of complement each other, and where one has a strength, the other has a weakness, and vice versa. So I don't think Sample is ready to be the tight end 1. Maybe he'll prove us wrong, but just as far as pass catching, and if he is, then he will be, and he'll excel. But I think this will be good because they can have Hurst to be the receiving guy. Sample can block in 2 tight end sets, and then you also have room to draft a tight end now. Because rookie tight ends typically don't do well when they're drafted and they have to start in year 1. So you bring a guy in as a tight end, let him sit for a year, learn everything, and then next year when Hurst's contract's up, maybe he'll be ready to kind of be brought up and be the starting tight end next year. So I like it. I think he'll be solid. We didn't need anyone good. We already have plenty of weapons. I think it's a perfect signing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Paul Dehner tweeted that it opens up for them to use a middle round pick now on a tight end. And that's really been the sweet spot of great tight ends in this league have been drafted kind of those middle rounds. So they don't need to overreach for anybody in the draft now. They're kind of set there, and they can take a shot at somebody in the middle rounds. I think that's good too.
Yeah. I remember Hayden Hurst used to be a big name in fantasy too. Like, I don't think he ever really excelled, but he was one of those guys that people drafted thinking he would be good. So maybe now in Joe Burrow and the Bengals system, maybe he'll take off too. I don't know. There could be upside there too.
In fantasy, those are the guys I always stay away from, or just like random guys that ESPN bumps up their rankings for no reason, like they're supposed to take the step. Like I think Drew Sample did some good things last year. He showed improvement. I mean, they didn't use him as much. That's because Uzomah was really just kind of took over and earned himself a huge deal with the Jets, which we can get into. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, shout out CJ. Sad to see him go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really a big part of the energy last year. The why not us? It's gonna be different without him for sure. But now he's on the
that was
Jets.
the most. Sorry, go ahead.
Just gonna say he's on the Jets where he can have a successful career. You sense the sarcasm in my voice.
Hey, maybe he'll turn around the Jets like he turned around the Bengals. You know,
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, he's exactly what they need. He's the leadership guy that makes a down locker room. You know.
That's true. Yeah.
Brings people together, and that's really what the Jets need. I mean, the Bengals kind of showed that's the model. You need to have the right culture if you want to have sustainable success. If you want to.
Yeah, that is actually a good signing on the Jets because they're trying to turn it around, get a guy like Uzomah.
Yeah.
They love snagging Bengals players from us.
Yeah.
You got Lawson last year, Uzomah this year. They're just trying to take our roster one by one.
They took Croft way back when. That's when Uzomah
Yeah.
had his chance to shine. So now I kind of think there's like a parallel there with Drew Sample where he's the next Uzomah, where the job is his. You know, the other guy gets paid. You retain your own guy and just hope for the best. Yeah.
He did have that sick one-handed catch. Wasn't it last year against the Browns, that Thursday night game? He just had I just remember that he can catch. He had that sick 100 catch.
Yeah, I think he can.
And that's the only highlight I can really remember from his. But
Yeah.
it's good enough to get me sold on him.
He's shown definitely some nice highlights there, and then he's had his drops, yeah. But as a blocker, you like his big body and athleticism again. So if he doesn't beat out Hayden Hurst in a competition in camp, it just you got to draft somebody at that point. But
the thing is, they have the best wide receiver trio in the league. And so they don't really need a dominant tight end. They just need someone who does their job. So I think Sample's capable of that. I think Hurst is capable of that. So I think it's fine.
you look what Joe Burrow likes to do. He likes to go to the tight end. I mean, maybe Thad Moss. Maybe he's going to step up too. I don't know. But
No, Thad Moss.
It's not Hayden Hurst. He's plan C, D. He should be plan C or D, not a plan B. Shouldn't be a starter. We got to get guys that could dominate. You know, that's our offense. We have all these stars.
Hayden Hurst had 500 yards last year, almost 700 yards in 2020. I mean, 2 years ago. I don't know why you're so low on him. He can't do it. He's done it before. I think that's better than any season Uzomah's ever had.
He's solid, but he's not a guy that you want to go into the season with. It's just not.
Well, okay, so what would you? But okay, so would you have rather just re-signed CJ for $8 million? We could talk about that. Is that worth it for him? Do you think they should have done that?
I really like the signing. I'm just saying. I hope the guys outcompete him. Maybe even Wilcox. He could be just as good as Hayden Hurst.
We'll see. I'm not as low as him as you are. I think he could be solid. I think you're underestimating him a little bit. But we'll see. I don't know if the money details have come out yet. We can monitor that as we continue to record.
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't watched his career too closely, so being a hater, but I want to see Sample take that next step because I saw him take it last year. Didn't have the opportunity per se, but it's the same situation Uzomah had last time. It's there to take. You're a second round pick. You could be a star.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, that was never his Sample's calling card coming out was a huge... I mean, people thought that was a reach at the time, second round pick. He was definitely a run blocker, but his calling card was never like receiving and getting downfield and stuff. But we'll see. Maybe he'll develop that way. And maybe that's why they're comfortable letting Uzomah walk. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yep, there's that. So there's also they re-signed Jalen Davis. That was the first move they made. He's like a depth cornerback for them. Probably compete for the backup cornerback. So they got Mike Thomas back, shoring up the special teams. Lost Darius Phillips. He's on the Raiders. What else?
Brandon Allen's back. Yeah. Both Michael Thomases are back. I didn't know we had two Michael Thomases, but they're both back.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's something.
We have two Michael Thomases.
One goes by Mike, I think. So.
Mike Thomas.
Yeah.
The receiver.
Yeah.
Tupou's back. Tupou just signed a 2-year deal, so that's big for the D-line depth. They needed that after they let Ogunjobi walk.
Yeah. And speaking of that position, Matt Ioannidis is linked to the Bengals, apparently. People want him.
Who?
Matt Ioannidis. He was on the Redskins, kind of their third defensive tackle, but very productive throughout his career. Kind of like around the B.J. Hill age where they like to go.
They love that second contract.
Yeah. So that would be really cool. But I just want them to keep signing linemen. I hope they go for Collins. That's really every Bengals fan on Twitter is going crazy about that.
Yeah, this could be an ultimate jinx because we're going to talk about Collins, and then it'll probably come out like right after the episode drops that something's happened one way or another. But I'm like pretty confident at this point that we're going to get Lyle Collins based off of, when like Cincinnati people report on it, that's usually just like them wanting the Bengals to do it. But like when the national media people are saying the Bengals are moving in on Lyle Collins, like they're interested, like this might happen, then it's probably going to happen. I bet. I mean, there's obviously familiarity there with Frank Pollock and Lyle Collins. Like, there's a lot of people reporting on it. At this point, I feel like it's going to happen. And I'm just wondering what the contract's going to be at this point. But that would just be huge for the offensive line. Don't even need to say it. Everyone knows about the familiarity with him and Pollock and how much we need a right tackle. So, I mean, that's just a dream scenario. It feels too good to be true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too perfect. Everyone's talking about it, you're right. And you got the Frank Pollock connection, so you know that he could fit the culture and the scheme. And that's obviously the most important thing when you're talking about guys Bengals sign, is they have to know them. They have to know that they're locked into the process and gonna buy in, gonna love it. They need to love football, number one. So he seems to fit all that stuff, and he's a star in this league. If we get him, then it's literally we're unstoppable, I think. I mean, you would probably the left guard, you just draft somebody at that point, and then compete, just see who wins out. Maybe Adeniji, maybe Carmen, maybe Smith. So I think they have good competition at the left guard. If they sign that right tackle, you feel good about that.
Yeah, I agree. I'd be comfortable slotting in Carmen and then him competing with, Deontay Smith and the other guys, and hopefully someone falls into the first round that you can draft or something like that. But I'd be very comfortable with that. It's weird, though, that nobody's really talking about, like, why nobody knows why nobody traded for Collins. Like, if this is a guy who is a Pro Bowl caliber right tackle, which is a premium in this league, and the Cowboys are offering to trade him. He's only got a contract of like $10 million. It's just weird vibes that nobody tried to trade for him at all.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if they didn't try to trade for him, but there's probably a lot of questions. Just like you want to meet with somebody and you need to know them if you're gonna trade, mortgage your future. Basically, you have to trade draft picks. It would be a multiple draft pick deal probably for him. So.
Well, they just cut him.
Yeah, but they have to figure that out. I mean, they're in like Cowboys are in a really weird situation where they need to, like, they're kind of in cap purgatory where they're trying to sign guys and they're just leaving. They had to dump the Amari Cooper contract, and then they lost Wilson, so it's like they're probably going to lose Pollard. They're just, like, losing everybody, I feel like. Van Der Esch.
Right.
I don't know how like to work cap, so I don't know what they're thinking with that, but I think they have time to kind of sit on it, try to get the best deal they can. Preferably, they probably wouldn't want to help out a team that was in the Super Bowl. And I would think that we're probably the number one suitor in on him just because of that connection where we have met with him. We know that he would fit the culture and scheme. So, but again, I really don't know. I don't know what it could be. Maybe he has problems.
Right. My point is that, like, they're not going to ask for a lot for him because they just released him. So, like, they would rather get something than nothing. And, like, nobody wanted to trade for him, apparently. So it's just, like, weird. Like,
they would save in the cap, though. Wasn't that a thing?
I mean, maybe. But if they really cared about cap, I'm also confused on why they didn't wait till... I mean, we don't understand cap. So, but I heard that if they waited till June 1st, then they would get a lot more money off the cap when they release them. But I don't know. Something must be off about that because they would have done that, you would have thought.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just weird.
It's
But
the Cowboys, so...
It's something that we take the chance on anyway. I'm just wondering if he, like, when he gets signed, if it's going to be, like, less than the $10 million contract that he had, because that seemed pretty good, or if it would be that same deal, or if they'd pay more. But you wouldn't think they'd pay him more, or they would have just traded. So I don't know. It's weird. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah. If he's a free agent, he becomes, like, one of the top 3 free agents just instantly. So I think he would demand more than $10 million on the market.
Yeah. We'll see. Apparently the Patriots are out on him. It was like the Patriots and the Bengals are in on them, and then someone said there's a 0% chance on the Patriots. It's like, why don't the Patriots want him? I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah,
but
I'm not getting my hopes up after the Jensen thing. Just, like, I tried to keep a level head throughout that, thinking that we wouldn't get him, and when it didn't happen, it worked out for me. So I'm going to try that again.
You think that if Brady doesn't retire, they would have Jensen and Kappa?
Yes.
That's what it sounded like. That would have been insane. Oh, man, that would have been awesome. To be honest, though, I'm fine with Kappa and what's the other guy's name? No, not Treader. That's the Browns guy.
Ted Karras?
Yeah, Karras. I mean, Karras seems like a better Trey Hopkins for the same amount or cheaper, so I think it worked out for the best, especially if they're going to be able to sign a right tackle, too, with the money left.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
He fits the profile for guys that with position versatility can play center or guard. He's been solid according to PFF. I looked at his stats. I don't know how, like, he's probably offensive line would be an easy one, like, to trust PFF for, just because it's so simple. But a lot of it has to do with the guys around you for offensive line. So maybe not. But you know, I don't really watch film, but I've seen Bengals Twitter post some things of him, and he's doing some good stuff. So he's going to be a part of another Super Bowl run, it seems like.
Yeah, I just like grabbing people who are just from good offensive lines. Like, that's just good vibes, you know? So, like, just getting guys from the Bucs and the Patriots is just, it can't be too bad of a thing. Anyway.
Yep, and like I said earlier, he's getting paid less than Trey Hopkins is supposed to make in the open market. So they're just getting deals.
Yeah.
That's really how you build championship teams, right? It's like you have the quarterback on the rookie contract, and then we have 2 of our 3 best skill position players are on rookie contracts. So we have a lot of freedom right now. You know, I think they could go all out. I think maybe like a dream signing that you guys want to bring up, we could do that. Because there is a lot of cap space, especially after they release Trey Waynes. Like, they're going to need a cornerback.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't sign Casey Hayward. He got a pretty good team-friendly deal. Maybe he wanted to go to the Falcons, though. Who are you looking at for cornerback, too? You got any names in mind?
Stephen Gilmore. I want to see that really badly.
That'd be cool.
That would be pricey, but he's a veteran. I think that's what they're going to go after, is just a proven guy that can hold it down. There's some injury concerns with him because he is older and he got hurt last year, but he's, according to Madden, best cornerback in football. So I would love that.
Yeah, I don't know about Gilmore. When I think about who the Bengals like to get, it's not like an old kind of guy past his prime that they'd have to give a lot of money to. He's 31 years old. I think his best football is probably behind him. I mean, he's a cornerback too, so I wouldn't. If they get him for a good deal, I wouldn't be mad at all. But I also have a friend who's a Patriots fan who said that he's, quote, washed. That was a scouting report that he got me. So I don't know. Maybe someone a little more affordable, but maybe also that means that he's willing to take a pay cut for a prove-it deal. So that'd be perfect if that's the case. I mean, I don't really know what the other options are, so maybe it would be good. I shouldn't just shit on him.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other good guys available. I mean, not that like I know for sure if they're going to be good or not, but there's definitely some depth there. The free agent class, I don't think he's washed. I think he's been a part of some shaky defenses, and it's tough to give stats to defensive players who are on shitty defenses. So I would say, like, I think he kind of fits what they've done in the past. I mean, remember that Terrence Newman and Adam Pac-Man Jones defensive backfield they had? That's what they could kind of do here with him, I think, as he revives his career.
Yeah. I'm looking at Twitter right now. There's a lot of Browns news going on. Do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, we can do that. I was talking to my Browns fan friend.
Is he happy about the Watson signing?
Oh, he told me he doesn't think he's going to be able to root for them. He's like, and he doesn't even think the fans will let them sign him. I mean, half of the fans would probably just leave. They wouldn't support that. So that could change everything for them. He's saying.
Well, here I don't even think that they're the front runner for Watson anymore. So it's kind of a shit show. Have you guys been following along with this, like the recent
I think
30
they are
minutes?
the front runner though. When you look at the teams that are involved, it's the Saints, it's the Falcons, and the Browns. It seems like, and I've heard the Panthers too, but I don't know about that. You got to look at what these teams can offer, and from both the team perspective, but mostly from Deshaun Watson's perspective, like what. Probably the Saints, you're right, would make a lot of sense for him there, where if they could convince Mike Thomas to come back, and then they have a solid offensive line, they'll get their left tackle back. That makes a lot of sense for them. But from like a team perspective, the Browns can offer a quarterback that could actually keep the Texans competent and give them like a future. Like Baker Mayfield isn't Jared Goff, but Deshaun Watson isn't Matthew Stafford either. I think they're both on other levels, so that would be the trade that makes the most sense, where both teams get better from it.
Did you see Kyle Pitts' did you see Kyle Pitts' tweet earlier today?
No.
I think he knows something that we don't. He said this year, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Something about this year's about to be scary. And then he deleted the tweet right away. It was like, no, I was just talking about this other guy who got signed, guys. But nobody believes him.
Yeah, he doesn't know. I mean, he's not talking to the...
I think he know. Why would he know? He's inside. He probably talks to Deshaun Watson. He said, quote, "It's about to get scary in Atlanta." I think he's going to go to the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, that could make sense, too. They could give him Matt Ryan. That's a good trade for them, too, I guess. But
yeah. Or, I mean... Yeah. And they have the high draft capital, the best draft capital probably of any teams that can offer.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. I think the thing that what makes it interesting is now Baker's apparently pissed that the Browns are publicly going after Deshaun Watson. So whether they get him or not, I think Baker's going to be gone.
I don't think that's true. I think it's just his last dance. He's going to play the last year of his contract out, never come back.
You got to listen to this, okay? So Baker you got to update Twitter because stuff's been going on. He just asked for a trade from the Browns. And Adam Schefter reported, he said, Baker Mayfield just told ESPN, quote, "It's in the mutual interest of both sides for us to move on. The relationship is too far gone to mend. It's in the best interest of both sides to move on." So he's going to be out.
We've seen guys. Aaron Rodgers just did this, and he's coming back now. It's like everyone thought, oh, there's no chance he's coming back. It's like, really, when it comes down to it, the team's not going to make a move if it's not the right thing for them. The Browns are in a great position to make a run this year. I mean, they've got the defense. I don't know what they're doing with their offensive line. They just dropped their best center, but they cleared the cap, I think, to go for Watson. So maybe this just makes them more aggressive, but I don't think it necessarily takes Baker out of the conversation this season, even though he's doing his...
You're right, because as I scroll the timeline, it says, this guy now says, Jake Trotter says, Browns have told Baker Mayfield's camp that they are, quote, not accommodating his requests. So honestly, best case scenario for the Bengals is that Baker's the quarterback for the Browns, and he's just so unhappy, and the Browns are just horrible. Because the chemistry in the locker room is just horrible.
I think for the Bengals, you want Deshaun Watson because that completely eats up their cap. They can't get better, for the rest of their roster. With Baker's team friendly deal right now, they could go out and boost up their receiving core, which they need to do. I mean, they cleared up space to make the Deshaun move, but if it doesn't work out, they have the space to do some other stuff. So I don't know if. I'm not really scared of Deshaun. I'm more scared of Baker as a Bengals fan, and he's just destroyed us throughout his career. He's like the new Ben Roethlisberger in Paul Brown Stadium, just tears us up pretty much every time. So I would rather see Deshaun, and then maybe he doesn't even get to play, and then the Browns just Browns that situation, which would be kind of perfect.
I don't know, dude. I mean, maybe the best case is someone who we didn't even mention. But, I mean, you're right, Baker tears us up, but Deshaun Watson's just a different animal. Deshaun Watson's really, really good at football. He's an elite quarterback.
Yeah, but you know what I mean with, the contract things? You're paying him so much money, you can't have a Super Bowl team. He's not good enough to overcome what that receiving core and, what they would have. Their offensive line's not going to be as good.
They still have a stellar defense. They still have guys on the offensive line. They still have Amari Cooper. They still have Nick Chubb. They still have a really talented roster that when you plug and play a top-tier elite quarterback in, they're going to excel, you know?
Yeah, they would definitely excel, but I think they're better off with the team-friendly Baker deal. I just believe in Baker. I think he could do it for him.
But Baker's unhappy, so I don't think he'll be the quarterback, but we'll see. And that could just lead the locker room to be toxic for them. And B, Baker needs a new contract after this year, so they're going to have to, if they want to keep him, they'd have to pay him anyway, you know?
I think this is his last dance with the Browns. That's what my friend told me. He's locked in there. I'm gonna trust him there. I don't think, he said they're going to the Super Bowl, so maybe, maybe he's a little crazy, but they have the Super Bowl roster. Everyone's acknowledged that pretty much for the last couple of years. They've been all in. So wouldn't be surprised to see him make a move. But I'm less concerned about the Browns than I am with the Chiefs, the Bills, the Broncos now, the Raiders now. They got Chandler Jones. So the Browns just kind of, they need other positions right now. They're kind of not a quarterback away. They have a quarterback. There's just other needs that they should be focused on, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess we'll just agree to disagree on that. I think as long as they have Baker as the quarterback, they won't be a Super Bowl contender. But if they add that elite guy, then they have a chance to get into that top tier. But who knows?
Still a top tier team, but they just need some more pieces. It's not about the quarterback. Baker definitely last year was a big part of why they weren't good, though. I'll say that. Like, he didn't have a good year. He was hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, but he can definitely be better than that. We agree on that, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a little Browns talk. So Browns are crumbling. Moral of the story.
Browns are crumbling.
That's how we'll end
Steelers
that
are
talk.
crumbling with the Ben Roethlisberger retirement and
Mitch Trubisky. Yeah, Mitch Trubisky on the. I guess this can just be an AFC North segment. And Mitch Trubisky is the new quarterback for the Steelers.
Bengals fans rejoiced when they saw it. Everyone was just so happy. I think he's actually
Good for our secondary for getting
Right.
interceptions.
good guy to face twice a year for sure. But when you look at the scheme, what Pittsburgh wants to do, what they're good at, he's definitely gonna be his best self there. He's gonna be able to win them some games, and he's got a good coach. He's got a good receiving core and running back. That's really what it's about for a quarterback. You do need some blocking, but I mean, Ben Roethlisberger was a statue last year. He couldn't escape the pocket. That's what Mitch is best at. He's probably better throwing on the run than in the pocket from what I've seen. Obviously, I have a small sample of watching Mitch Trubisky, but I call him Trubutski because he just throws dots when he's throwing on the run. In the pocket, he's not. That's where you want to keep him and contain him. So it was good to see, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the moral of the story. I'll just be quick. He's better than Big Ben for sure. So in that way, and he's better than Mason Rudolph. So in that way, the Steelers upgraded. But from the Bengals' point of view, it could have been way worse with like Watson. If they would have traded for Watson, or they would have traded for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, like those were worst case scenarios. And we'll settle for Mitch Trubisky for sure.
And the Ravens, what have they done? They got Morgan Moses on a really team-friendly deal. A lot of people had Bengals going for him, one of the top right tackles available. People are like, why didn't... I mean, he got, really, really good deal for the Ravens. I think he's, making $8 million a year. So it's like, why didn't the Bengals go for that when it's a need? And it's a division rival. It would have made a lot of sense. But I'm not going to question Duke Tobin. I think that just points to how serious they are about Collins. And, yeah, I can't be upset about the state of the AFC North. Looks like we're still the dogs.
Yeah. And something happened with, Zadarius Smith with the Ravens, right? Did they, sign him and then he unsigned with them?
He was going to sign and then didn't sign? I don't know. Something like that. Same thing with Chandler Jones, I think. I thought that they were going to get Chandler Jones, and then he ended up signing yesterday to the Raiders.
Yeah, something's off with that vibe of the Ravens. So Bengals are still on top in the AFC North. Still the team to beat for sure. Any other Bengals talk? What else can we talk about?
Do you guys want to do some Madden predictions for the ratings?
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
How many 90s do you think the Bengals will have?
Well, will have and should have is a different question because they probably won't have a lot of 90s.
Burrow and Chase.
Burrow, yeah. I feel like both of them should be 90s, but if I'm thinking about realistically, will Madden make them 90s? I feel like they'll make Burrow an 88 and Chase a 89 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I have both of them 90s for sure. I mean, that would be crazy. Especially with Ocho Cinco, he's a Madden Raider guy. He should be pounding the table for these guys.
I would say...
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to think now. Jesse Bates will be a 90 for sure. They should make Evan McPherson a 90 kicker.
DJ
That'd be
Reader.
interesting. But...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who else. Hendrickson could be a 90, but I don't think they'll make him a 90.
Yeah, he should be a 90 for sure. You got two 90s on the D-line. Woozier could be a 90.
Yeah, but they'll make him a 79.
Yeah. Logan Wilson should be a 90. He'll probably be like low 80s. Pratt should be in the 80s. Probably won't be. I'm trying to think, like, is everybody on the Bengals in the 80s right now, other than Jackson Carman and like Drew Sample, like the starters?
Will they be? No, but they should be.
I don't know about Karras. He might not be an 80 yet.
Karras feels like a 78 or 79, just like a solid guy.
Yeah.
Which is better because I think Hopkins was like a 66 or something. So still a big upgrade. Yeah, I don't think Sample will be an 80. Sample will be low 70s probably. Hurst will be low 70s. BJ Hill will be interesting. He should be like a 83 at least, I feel like.
Yeah. Osai, he was like
Hubbard.
in the 60s in the last Madden. I mean, they can't bring him out in the 60s again. But
Osai, but he hasn't really proved anything. I can't really see him having a huge jump.
Right, yeah. I feel like he's a big part of what they're gonna do next year. They haven't signed any pass rushers, so that just shows that they're gonna let him have that spot pretty much, right?
They should. What, just like a rotational spot?
Yeah. You got him and Kareem, Sample. So I guess they're just gonna stick with those guys. I could see them drafting a defensive end too, the first pick. Like, I just think they're gonna go with the best available. That's what I hope they do.
If they get Collins and they get a cornerback too, they're in a position where they can just get whatever.
Right.
You know, they're pretty comfortable at every position, and then at that point you're just drafting for depth and developmental guys. So, yeah, I agree.
All right. Anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm good for now, and then we can keep doing pods as things come and keep emerging.
Yeah, this is a good little update. I didn't really have much to say. I've been following a lot of the free agency, but it was cool to hear you guys talk about it.
Yeah, lots going on.
What are you thinking with that perspective? Like, that gives you a good, honestly.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
fresh.
I know. I really like it how they've gone so aggressively for offensive line, and like how good we were last year without an offensive line, and how the organization is addressing it. That makes me feel really good.
Yeah, I feel like they're doing what they did with the cornerback position last year. Remember they signed, like, they got Apple, Hilton, and Awuzie, and now they got Karras, Kappa, and people are thinking Collins. So,
Yeah.
exact same thing there. You're just getting better at spots where you needed it, and like you're still successful without it. So
Right.
it's crazy too. Like, you don't really tune into the media because they just don't respect the Bengals, and it's like still the case where the paradigm is shifting, where everybody in the media is kind of in that camp where it's like, okay, they're still the Bengals.
Right. They don't want to take the risk.
Like, it's Josh Allen versus Mahomes. It's Herbert. He's just better than Burrow. You know, there's still like these takes that are floating around out there that they're debating.
Right.
Ah, man.
It's like if the Bengals won the Super Bowl, they would have changed their tune, but because they lost, it's like they just forgot.
I don't even think so. I really don't.
I think they could have won the Super Bowl, and it'd still be.
It just takes time for these things to really shift.
Yeah.
And because it's just been one way for so long, it's really shocking to people. But it's obviously it's not shocking to us, and that's all that matters. I mean, if we're gonna be slept on, that's a good thing. That's what we thrived on last year.
Right.
I mean, there's always a team that's going under the radar, and that's not going to be able to be us for much longer. So.
Yeah, it's cool that like Joe Burrow isn't embarrassing himself on these stupid commercials like these other star quarterbacks that he's beating.
Yeah, I mean he's got to focus on his rehab because he's just been getting beat up his entire career like no other. B, he is just a football purist where that is his life. He loves it. He wants to be the best player he can be. That's really awesome. It's intoxicating, especially for the the run that they went on. It wasn't just, CJ's leadership. I think most of it was just Burrow and proving that he can put a team on his back at the stage in his career, with all the hits that he's taking. You don't see that. You don't see that in sports. It's been, I think, like the only athlete you compare him to is like Kareem, like who was #1 pick, like college champion, and then comes in right away and is just dominant. Just gets better, instant respect.
He's got the unstoppable sky hook.
Turning the franchise around, yeah.
Only here will you find the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar comparisons to Joe Burrow. That's what makes this podcast so special.
Yeah, we compared him to LeBron, too, with the way that he's impacted the city.
Yeah, LeBron's more recent. Kareem I didn't see coming, though. I like that.
Yeah, because Kareem's the only guy who's won college championship and then won an NBA championship in his first 2 years. So Burrow had that chance.
Came up just short.
Yeah.
So next year, it's going to make him stronger. All right.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Cool.
Good pod.